She parked her SUV on my son's grave during his burial. Said, "Wrap it up. This gathering isn't permitted." A month later, the same woman, our HOA president, was sentenced to 10 years in prison for desecration. Yeah, 10 years. But that day, I wasn't thinking about justice. I was just trying not to fall apart. The hearse had just stopped. The sky was this lazy gray, like even the heavens were tired. We were standing by the open grave, my wife Amy gripping my hand so hard it hurt, and I didn't care. Our boy Leo was only 10, funny bright kid. He'd been gone 3 days, and my world had already shrunk to that tiny patch of 2 green grass. I'm a cabinet maker. I fix things. But this I couldn't fix. Then came the sound. Not a sob, not thunder, an engine. A deep, arrogant growl that didn't belong in a place of peace. I turned confused and saw this pearl-white SUV jump the curb. Its hazard lights blinked like guilt, pretending to be safety. It kept coming right toward us. The front tire stopped squarely on the corner of the grave. The coffin brace cracked under the weight. The priest froze mid-prayer, his voice dying in the wind. The door opened, and out stepped Karen Truman, our HOA president. Beige pantsuit, perfect hair, that smug face I'd seen too many times at community meetings. She didn't look at Leo's casket, didn't look at us, just at the flowers, the chairs, the people mourning. Then she said loud and clear, "This gathering is unpermitted. You're in violation of HOA regulations." Father Michael blinked, stunned. "Ma'am, this is a funeral." She waved him off. "Yes, I understand, but the bylaws are clear. No large assemblies without board approval. And these floral displays excessive. Visually disruptive." Amy's hand trembled in mine, then she let go and pulled out her phone. Record light flashing red. I couldn't move. My body was frozen between grief and disbelief. Karen reached for a laminated card hanging from her neck, an eagle logo printed on it. The words, "Compliance Officer, Whitehurst, HOA." She raised it like a badge. "You have 5 minutes to disperse before citations are issued." Then she shushed the priest. Shushed him. Put her finger to her lips and said, "Shh." Something inside me cracked. But before I could move, Amy was already dialing. "Yes, officer," she said quietly. "A woman drove her vehicle onto a burial plot during a funeral and refuses to move." Minutes later, 2 cops arrived, Miller and Sanchez. Karen marched toward them, puffed up like a blowfish. "Officers, thank you for your prompt response. I'm conducting a compliance inspection. This assembly violates multiple ordinances." She handed them a printout, pink highlighter everywhere. Miller glanced at it, expression blank. Sanchez looked past her to the coffin to us. His face changed. "Ma'am," Miller said, handing it back, "this cemetery isn't under your jurisdiction. Even if it were, you can't park on a grave." Karen laughed this awful, brittle sound. "You clearly don't understand the scope of our covenant." Amy hit play on her phone, showing the video. The engine noise, Karen's voice ordering us to wrap it up. Miller knelt beside the SUV, flashlight shining under the bumper. Then he straightened, face pale. "Ma'am, that brace you cracked, it's part of the vault. That's desecration. That's a felony." Karen's smug look evaporated. "That's ridiculous," she sputtered. Miller didn't care. He took out the cuffs. "You were told to leave. You refused. You caused damage. You're under arrest." The sound of the cuffs clicking shut echoed across the graveyard like punctuation at the end of a nightmare. I thought that was it. I thought justice had found her. I was wrong. 2 days later, there was an envelope stuck to our door. Whitehurst HOA. Inside, a citation. Violation yard melancholy. The overall aesthetic of your property reflects an inappropriate emotional tone inconsistent with community standards. I read it twice. Yard, melancholy. Was I supposed to make my grass smile? Amy took it, scanning the paper. "She's escalating," she said flatly. "This isn't over." And it wasn't. Every day after that, new envelopes. Unauthorized grief hue on our black wreath. Improper vehicular placement because my truck was 2 inches off center. Excessive flag undulation. It was harassment disguised as paperwork. Amy started cataloging everything each notice scanned and labeled Exhibit A, B, C. I bought a binder, started taking photos, dates, fines, rule numbers. My grief turned into documentation. Every ridiculous notice became another nail in her coffin. But the worst part wasn't the paper. It was the isolation. Neighbors stopped waving. Some whispered that maybe I'd brought it on myself. One night I sat on the porch staring at that stupid binder, and I asked myself, what if they're right? Maybe I should have let it go. Maybe I should have just moved. Amy sat beside me quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Hank, she parked on our son's grave. There's no maybe after that." That was the moment I stopped doubting. Amy went full investigator. The badge Karen flashed, it looked cheap. She zoomed in on the video, sharpened the image, and found it online. Official-looking badges for fun. Comsho, $10. Same eagle logo, same font, 5-star review from K. Truman. We printed everything. Exhibit D. Then she checked the document Karen had waved at the cops, the one full of pink highlights. Amy compared it to the real county bylaws. The fonts didn't match. The kerning was off. She didn't highlight the rules, Amy said. She retyped them. Exhibit E. When our lawyer Patel saw it, he said, "Save everything. We'll use every receipt." For a week it went quiet. No more notices. No sightings of her SUV. I thought maybe she'd finally stopped. But bullies don't stop. They reload. Buddy, my neighbor, called one night. Hank saw Karen's car near the cemetery. She's got 2 guys with her carrying a big plastic tote. My stomach turned to ice. Amy was already grabbing the drone case. Her toy, a high-end quadcopter with 4K night vision. We drove out, parked near the back road. Amy launched the drone. On the screen, green night vision shimmered, and there they were. Karen and 2 HOA goons standing over Leo's grave, pulling bright orange stickers from the tote. Big letters. Violation. My throat went dry. She was tagging graves, my son's included. Amy's voice was steady. Smile for the drone. Karen. It shoots in 4K and holds grudges. She filmed their faces, the tote, the license plate. Everything. Clean evidence. We sent it to Patel. His reply came instantly, "Do not post." Straight to the DA in the morning. That night I didn't sleep. I wasn't grieving anymore. I was planning. I called Marcus, an old friend, Marine vet president of the local VFW. I told him everything. He listened, then said, "What time do you think she'll be back?" "Midnight," I said. "We'll be there." And they were. 30 bikers rolled up under the moonlight, engines low and respectful, parking in a perfect line by the cemetery fence. They weren't there to fight, they were there to stand. Amy and I sat by Leo's grave, coffee thermos between us, waiting. Around midnight, headlights appeared. The Pearl SUV crawled down the dirt road. She got out, tote in hand, flanked by her muscle. Then she saw them 30 veterans standing shoulder to shoulder, silent, unmoving. Karen froze. So did her men. Nobody said a word. Only the crickets. Finally, one biker spoke calm and deep. "Ma'am?" "Step back from the names." Karen's mask cracked. She turned furious, but no one moved. No one shouted. Just stillness. Power in silence. Then one of her goons dropped the tote on the ground like it was toxic. They backed away. Karen hesitated, then spun, marched back to her SUV, and sped off into the night. The wall had held. Police bagged the tote the next morning. The DA got the drone footage. From there, it was like dominoes falling. Fraudulent documents, fake badge, cemetery vandalism. She'd built her own gallows out of HOA bylaws. But the real blow came from the community. Buddy set up a live stream, got an HOA story. Tell it here. Across the street, Karen was trying to hold a security meeting. But one by one, neighbors crossed over to Buddy's lawn, holding their ridiculous citations up to the camera: yard melancholy, improper vehicular placement, unharmonious wind chimes. The chat exploded. Then Amy's phone rang. She put it on speaker. "Mrs. Freereden, this is Assistant DA Markham. We're watching your stream. Can you and your husband come in tomorrow?" The crowd erupted. That was the turning point. Karen tried to salvage her throne. Held one last HOA meeting, full house, cameras rolling. She called it a clarification of misinformation. Her board sat beside her 2 cronies, 2 terrified yes-men. She banged the gavel, started babbling about procedural integrity and community harmony. Then Amy stood up, calm, steady. "That seal on your document," she said, "it's a fake. You bought it from a novelty website for $9.99. Karen turned scarlet. "That is slander." Amy nodded to Buddy. On the screen behind Karen, the projector switched, showing a side-by-side of Karen's official order and the same eagle logo from official-looking badges. For fun. Comswar identical. Gasps. Murmurs. Then Karen's own goons. Barry and Glenn looked at each other pale as ghosts. They pushed back their chairs and walked straight out. Another board member whispered, "I resign," and followed. Karen sat alone under the projector's glow, her fake seal shining behind her like a spotlight of shame. By morning, her own cronies were testifying for the prosecution. The trial was fast, the courtroom packed. The DA played the drone video, the stickers, the faces, the license plate. The jury watched in silence. Then Karen took the stand. Her defense: "I did it for the community. Property values matter." That was it. The jury didn't even flinch. Guilty on all counts. At sentencing, Judge Benton looked her dead in the eye. "You were not protecting property values. You were destroying human decency. 10 years, 5 to serve 5, suspended, and a lifetime ban from any HOA. The gavel hit like thunder. Karen's face went blank. "I didn't feel joy, just relief. Justice doesn't bring back the dead, but it can remind the living what matters. Love is not a code violation.